Hey everyone, welcome. Wow, I can't word.
Welcome,
Hi,
everyone.
Everyone. Alright, so we're doing a set review. We just thought it'd be fun. We both like Magic the Gathering, both have different levels of how much we play it, how much we like it. I don't think either of us really do Modern or Legacy or anything like that.
Too expensive.
Yep. So drafts, because of MTGA made those free, and then I've been doing a lot of Standard and Alchemy, so I get a pretty decent sense of how that works. We are mostly doing this for fun, and so you could laugh at us when we get it wrong, more than it is so that we can commend your, we can decide your decisions. You should always make your own decisions.
Decide your own decisions.
Precisely. Also, they're wrong. You listen to us. We know better than you. Alright, so we're going to start with all the sagas. The sagas in this set all have a different...
Lambo!
How's it going? So all the sagas in this set have the same system, that they all have two abilities. So one when it comes into play, the second is the next turn, and then the turn after, it flips over into another creature, into a creature that has its own little effects. It does have summoning sickness, so unless the creature has haste, it basically can attack 3 turns after it gets played. So that's something you're going to consider. But every single saga in this set follows that pattern of effect when it comes to play, effect next turn, then flip to creature. So the first one is Befriending of the Moths. It's 4 mana. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. That's also the second effect. And when it flips, it is just a 2/4 flyer itself. As you will know with most commons, they're not really meant for standard play, they're meant for limited play, but I think this is a good limited card.
Yeah, I would say it's decent. Target creature control is +1/+1 gains fly. I mean, for 4 mana, you have to already be winning for that to be decent.
I don't think you need to
be... Becomes a 2/4. I'd have to see more, because, okay, I play mostly limited. And... I mean, I look at standard, so I don't really know the environment much.
Standard doesn't matter here. This is just limited for this card.
Yeah, and I feel like the 4 toughness might be what makes it good, because honestly, I was looking through it a little bit. I didn't see the whole set, but I feel like there's a lot of 3 power creatures that are just in the common range.
I was
feel
actually
like it could block a lot.
I was actually going to say that's having 4 toughness is pretty key in this set.
Yeah.
I was just looking at 3 drops. I keep seeing 3 2s, not 2 3s.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like Magic is kind of going that way too.
Yep. But what I noticed is that you don't really need to be winning the game, but you can, if you can get a board stall or otherwise have applied enough pressure, this could help you finish off with the pressure. We also
True, this is kind of an endgame card too, yeah.
We also noted that this set has ninjutsu, which needs you to be attacking with creatures that aren't getting blocked.
So, but the problem with ninjutsu in this card is that you're really only doing it on the second trigger. Because the first trigger, it costs 4 mana.
Well, there are 1 mana ninjutsu triggers.
So you could, but that's still 1 mana on turn 5. 1 mana ninjutsu on turn 5.
What I was getting at is that if you ninjutsu'd earlier, when they deal combat damage, they trigger, but you can't really get that guy to attack in safely again. This allows it to attack in safely.
True. It's good for ninjas in that way.
Yeah. And then also, the backside, if the 2/4 protection isn't really helpful, that gets ninjutsu'd in its place, and then you get it back to flip over.
Yeah, that might actually be really useful. Because what if you're playing against someone who's flyer weak, and then you just and you have ninjas, and then they're flyer weak. Play this card, and then even after it's flipped and it's done, you're just gonna ninja it back. Yeah, yeah.
I will state this is very dependent on your opponent being flyer weak, but generally you can assume that with a lot of limited sets.
Yeah. So for me. My final score or whatever. Do you want to do scores?
If you want. If it's worth scoring, then yes.
Well, I guess I would go when you would pick it in limited. I would have to see some of the format more first. But right now it seems kind of low, but it could have some mid with some high roll possibility. It could be mid with some high roll possibilities depending on
this isn't a bomb, but it is a finisher, and it's important that your deck has finishers.
Yeah, true. It's kind of a finisher. Well, it could be a finisher. I wouldn't say it's even a finisher.
Fair enough. It's only a finisher if your deck's very aggressive.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright. So that is Befriending of the Moths. Next card is Era of Enlightenment. So this is a 2 mana. First you scry 2, so you get to look at the top cards, fiddle around with them for a bit. Then you gain...
Is that what scrying is? You just fiddle around with the cards for a little
Cards feel good. It controls... You can put some at... You can choose which ones you put at the top and bottom of the deck.
I want to see that for the reminder text next time. Just fiddle around with the top 2 cards of your deck for a little bit.
It's going to do the reminder text, is just a picture of a guy going...
Yeah.
But yeah, it just lets you decide whether you put the cards on top or bottom and how they're set up. So it lets you control your draws a bit. The next effect, you just gain 2 life. And then you flip this over, and it becomes a 2/2 first striker. So...
Sorry, I just want to see the mana costs again.
It's 2 mana for this 2/2 first striker. But again, the real interesting thing about this is that this creature comes out on turn 4. And if you know much about Limited, 2 drops coming out on turn 2 is kind of important. So
yeah.
It's figuring out where this goes in all of that.
Yeah, what was the other side again?
Yeah. Scry 2, then gain
Scry
2
2, gain
life.
2. I could see you playing like 1 if you're like desperate 2 copies of this unlimited deck. But yeah, it's kind of a useless card. Like you'll want it for the scry. The gain life is not gonna be relevant. And then a 2/2 first strike, like unless you have, it could be good for vehicles. I don't know.
So,
I'm not hyped about this one.
Yeah. So this one, I will state, it cannot attack. By the time it can attack as a 2/2 first striker, it's turn 5.
Yeah, exactly.
That being said, if you're controlling, it took me a while to figure this out. If you miss your 2-drop, what happens is they get attacked into you once, maybe twice. You're gaining 2 life. You're mitigating it by half. The scry is good. And like we said, a lot of 3-mana cards are 3/2s in this set.
Mm-hmm.
This can deal with 3 drops. This could stop 3 drops in their tracks.
True. It could come out and like save you from the weaker forces if they don't have some. Because you're gonna be combating their 5 drops later anyways with your own.
Yeah, I
guess it could work out.
Yeah, I think if you are a control deck specifically, this works as a 2-drop. If you're an aggro deck, though, or if you're anything that's not control, honestly, you can't treat this as a 2-drop.
I could see in control having a bunch of these and then just popping them down, knowing you'll get some 2/2, because the enchantment creature might be relevant too. I would say this is a low tier pick though.
Yeah, it's very much, you need to know what your deck archetype is, and you don't know early enough to justify it in like pack 1.
Yep.
So before we move on, I want to actually bring up really quickly a random possibility of this getting standard play.
Okay.
There's a card. It's called Hollowed Haunting that was added in. Let's see, Hollowed Haunting. So it basically, the deck for Hollowed Haunting asks that you have many enchantments in play. You just want, basically, if you have loads of enchantments, if every card in your deck is enchantments, this card becomes really powerful at just constantly giving you board presence and a finisher in all. For this to work though, you need enough enchantments for that to be viable. This, as a 2-mana creature effectively, that's also scrying you to get to your Hollowed Haunting.
Yeah.
I think it might see play. Like, first of all, the Hollowed Haunting deck, we don't know if that's going to be good. We don't know if this is necessary for the Hollowed Haunting deck, but there's that potential. There's that random potential.
I mean, it's a cheap... It doesn't cycle itself, but it kind of... It scries, so it feels like it kind of cycles itself. It gives itself value.
It gives you closer to the cards you're looking for.
Yeah, I can see this being decent with needing enchantments and stuff.
Definitely, it's only really for that deck. If your deck doesn't have a good use for enchantments, it ain't making it the cut, but...
Yep.
Alright. Next, the Fall of Conda. So it's 3 mana. Exile target creature opponent controls with mana value 4 or greater. Then, each player gains control of all permanents they own. And then when it flips over, it's a 1/3 defender that when it dies, draw a card.
See, this seems... Well, how much does this cost?
3 mana.
Okay. This seems like part of that deck you were just talking about, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, whether or not this card is good is solely on whether that level 1 actually works. When this comes into play, if it takes something out, like, that's already card for a card, you're at the very least okay with that. Then, like, the level 2... It's very rare, maybe in Modern or something that does stuff, but there's just no decks that really steal cards for more than until the end of turn. And then let's just like, it kills a card, and if it's not removed, it draws a card later. That's huge. It kills something and then draws a card later. That being said, it's just a question of, can you actually kill something? Because this is not worth 3 mana, eventually draw a card. I will also like to state that I love the lore of this. For those who don't know, we started with Kamigawa, and the whole story of Lord Kanda is that he stole spirits to make himself
that's right,
unkillable. And so, like, he has, in the game, he's actually indestructible.
Yeah, Lord Konda's a legendary 3/3 vigilance, Michigo 5, indestructible, yeah.
Yep. And so, basically the story, they couldn't kill him, so they just tortured him by turning him in, like, breaking him up into fragments, which I think it's a really cool way of showing that example. And I love the lore of that. I love the lore of that. It both
it's hella cool.
It's able to kill him. It's he stole something.
No one can't kill Lord Konda.
Mana value for it.
Oh, mana value. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it could kill him. He gain control of all permanents. Get back that which was taken.
Oh, I didn't even seal it. That's sick.
Yeah. So I love the lore of this card, and the fact that it's also probably playable is awesome. I think it's going to be more sideboard material though.
For standard, yeah.
Yeah, just some decks in standard are way too fast.
In limited, or what's it called in arena where it's
Alchemy?
It's a one
brawl.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
You're good. It's one round. Like, you don't get 3 rounds with the person.
Oh, best of one.
Best of whatever, yeah, best of one draft. In best of one draft, I can see you playing 1 copy.
I think that's
I don't think you would play 2 copies in a best of one draft. That's for but and I don't even think you want mana value 4 or greater. You can play 2 of these in a deck, but I mean, it's just, I guess if you just played as a kill spell, I could see 2, because 4 is 4 greater. That's pretty common. But
yeah, it's not
unless you face an
everywhere.
aggro deck where like that's not really gonna swing the game. Yeah, that's all I have really to say on it.
All right, Michigo's Reign of Truth. Oh, gotta click it so you guys can see it more clearly. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. It does that twice, so the next turn as well. And then when it flips over, it just has that as it's a body that has that effect permanently. So you don't give it to others, but itself is good. The question, basically, of whether this card is playable in my mind is whether you have a good target for when you first play it. If you do, I think this card could be a great finisher, but it's weird because it's a 2-drop that acts as a finisher.
I mean, could just get some extra damage. I'm thinking that enchantment deck you're talking about. Well, you have to have a creature target. Yeah, you're right, because it's a 2-drop. I see what you're saying.
So I will say, in Alchemy, there is, through the draft process, yeah, it seems really good. So I'd like to really quick show a card. In Alchemy, there's a draft process that through it you can get access to a card called All That Glitters, which is basically this effect as an enchantment aura. So it's only the +1, the level 1, and the level 2, but it happens every turn basically. And this card has 1-me games. Just because randomly throughout it, you're getting treasure tokens. There's some banishing light sort of effects that you might want to use.
Treasure tokens, hey.
So, like, there are going to be a lot of, what I found is just in this format, there's going to be a lot of artifacts and enchantments just around. So this is not just +1/+1.
There's vehicles and stuff too. Oops. There's vehicles and stuff too.
So I do think this is not just going to be +1/+1. This is going to be a significant buff, even if you're not building your deck around it. So I think it's good and limited.
Yeah.
But
maybe like a 1-of.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the problem because it's not a 2-drop. It won me games because I got it on a flyer later on.
Yeah, it is an enchantment creature though, right? Okay, so it is a 1/1.
Yeah. It's a 1/1 at worst, yes.
I can see this being pretty good. I feel like you would play this in a limited deck, actually. Because it's again, I feel like a lot of these cards I need to see the set more.
Mm-hmm. I will say there's a lot of artifacts and there's enough enchantments.
Yeah, I've seen, and those alive artifacts or whatever.
Oh.
You could go really good with those. But, okay. Yeah, that's all I have to say on it.
So, we're hopeful of this card, but we're not going to say, oh, it's making Stair play. It's just like, it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Don't sleep on it. Alright. Restoration of a Gonjo. So, when it comes to play, 3 mana, when it comes to play, you search your library for a basic... Thank you.
You're welcome.
You search your library for a basic planes.
Gotta start them up sometimes. It's like what you do to the washer when it doesn't work. All right, you're good. You're good.
All right, but you search your library for a basic planes, put it into your hand, And then you may the next turn you can discard a card and then return a permanent card with mana value 2 or less to the battlefield tapped.
Oh,
Note,
nice.
you can actually discard that plains and then put that plains into the battlefield if you have no other plays.
Yeah.
And then
That's cool.
When it flips over,
It's white ramp.
yeah, white ramp. I like how they're doing that for like how
That
they
is
get
cool.
card advantage. There's like 2 or 3 other cards that do that,
That's
and I think it's
cool.
cool. So then the other side is a 3/4 vigilance that when it attacks or blocks, create a 1/1 spirit creature token. This card's good.
Yeah, whoa. The abilities don't really seem related. Oh, it's a
Let's
rare.
see.
That's why it's so good. Because you discard the abilities on both sides. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, so I can kind of get into the my understanding of the lore. Searching your library for the planes is finding a Gonjo. Discarding some to create more is the restoration process. And then the final restoration was a commune between...
so yeah, the flavor makes sense. I was saying mechanically.
Mechanically. Fair enough.
That's
fair
cool,
enough.
though. That's cool to know about the flavor, because I didn't know that.
But yeah, mechanically, that I guess you see what you're saying, because it's a ramp card, and then it gets you your cheap minions. Like...
And then the thing on the other side creates tokens. And it's like, oh. I mean, I think but it's cool. It's a good card. Yeah, it's hella good. It's a rare.
I think
Bomb.
every
Sorry.
every single effect of this is good,
Yeah.
but as you're saying, not every effect is good for a different deck.
Yeah.
I think there's enough value that if there's just like a general mid-range deck, this sees playing it anyways.
Yeah.
There's an Orzhov sacrifice deck that's pretty big.
Ooh.
I think this sees playing that because this could discard the planes, get you back the Eye Twitch, which you want to sacrifice anyways to get more value.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, and then the body creates 1/1 tokens that get sacrificed as well. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think this finds a slot in the Orzhov sacrifice deck.
Yeah, it seems good to me.
So yeah, that's standard play. That's bomb in limited because you just want value, and this is 3 layers of value.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited to see white moving in directions like this.
Yep, love it. Oh man, behold the unspeakable.
I loved the unspeakable.
Do you want to go into lore before we even get to the
I
card?
don't even remember. I don't remember the lore honestly, but it was just one of those big blue creatures. What was it? A 6/7 trample flying?
Yeah, and then it brought back your instants and sorceries when it
And
hit.
arcanes. I think it was arcanes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was. I just love those big blue. And like, we should look up the art.
It was
the old one real quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You
here.
did it.
So the unspeakable.
Yeah. And just like the fact that's not it.
Hold on. There we go.
That's the art. Yeah, and just the fact that it was like a big creepy looking creature and like just the name of it, like unspeakable. Like it was just cool.
And
I just thought it was such a cool card.
And another thing that makes it cool is that in that set there were 3 instants, which I think were like sift through stands, peer through depths.
It's not terrifying at all.
It was just like you had to keep looking through your deck, and if you played all 3 of those cards at once, it had a clause that you could just pull this from your library into play, which was just like a cool icing to the cake. Anyways, so they brought it... Wrong one. They brought it back. So the first effect is creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until your next turn. Then, if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, draw 4. Otherwise, scry 2, then draw 2 cards. Then exile it, return to the battlefield transformed, which it's a flying trampler whose size is based on the cards in hand. So it's another big flying trampler monster, which is... I love the flavor there. Yeah, exactly. Not terrified at all. I think this is a finisher, and I'm still wrapping my head around whether it can actually finish in standard. But
I think so.
Yeah. So my big question is 5 mana, -2/-0. Does that actually stop your opponent from killing you?
Yeah, it'll stop like the swarm decks, right? But
yeah. So like mono white aggro, I think this stops, but mono green aggro doesn't care.
Yeah.
And
so that first effect really handicaps it.
Yep. So if that -2/-0 could stop them, I think the rest of this card is amazing. I will note that the Saga triggers happen after your draw step. So having 1 or fewer cards means you had to have 0 the turn before. But I think just scry 2, draw 2 cards is good enough. It's just like an absolute failsafe if you really need it. Also, if you happen to have cards in your hand, you can actually put a stop as this is on the stack, you could play instant speed spells. Which means for like an Izzet blue-red deck, you just quickly burn them out so you can draw more burn. And then yeah, if it flips over, it's a threat. It's a serious threat that needs to die or it will kill you. Nothing more to really be said. I don't really know a deck that plays it right now, but it's good enough that if a deck comes around, it can fit in it.
Yeah. And it's just... Oh, this is an uncommon?
Yep.
What? Oh my god. This is going to be insane in limited.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a rare.
Yeah, for limited, it feels like a rare deck. Because, okay, straight up...
I guess the first ability's not... It's 5 mana. I can see it being uncommon.
Yeah. Like, when you count all the value, it's draw 2 cards and create a big threat for 5 mana.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Pick it in limited. You probably don't want more than 2 of these in limited, though.
These
don't do anything when they come out, really. I mean, like, you're going to slow them down a little bit, but, like, sometimes it's not about the amount of power on board. It's about, like maybe there's some ability when they deal damage to an opponent, or, like...
Like, I feel like what you do with this card is you play it, they're like, oh, I don't really care about the pressure, and then next turn you draw cards, you wipe the board to pave the way for the unspeakable.
Yeah. That'd be the best use of this, for sure.
Now, Madrid, you're going to at least get a 4/4 right. It depends on how fast you're playing your cards. For example, if you had 0 cards, so you could draw 4, you're probably playing a very fast deck, which means you might be able to dump all 4 cards by next turn. So, I will state that the size depends on how fast you're playing it. But even then, you'll find that just getting a 3/3 attached to card draw is often good enough in some cases. And then if you're playing the slower deck, this does become a win condition. This just keeps getting bigger.
And if you're like stuck in a top deck war and limited, this is sick. Because then it's like, okay, I can just hold my lands I'm drawing.
If nothing else, you could ignore the mana value. It draws you cards, and it slows them down.
Yep.
And then it's a body.
Decent.
Yeah.
Lore-wise, top tier.
Oh, yeah.
Nostalgia-wise, whatever, yeah.
All right. Inventive Iteration. So 4 mana, you return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Then next turn, you return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, and if you can't, you draw a card. Ooh. And then it flips over to a 3/3 with whenever you cast a spell, your opponents can't cast spells with the same mana value as that spell until your next turn. So if you play a 2-drop, they can't play 2 drops until your next turn.
Oh yeah, you were showing me.
If you play a 3-drop, they can't play 3 drops in your next turn. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to let you say what you need to first.
Yeah, sure. It's a Moonfolk. I love Moonfolk. That was like one of my favorite.
Gosh, they need to do Moonfolk Tribal and make it really valuable.
Yeah, I mean, they did have some kind of Tribal in Kamigawa, the original. I mean, like, the Tribal was hard to find because the only Moonfolk Matters cards was the Command of Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that was it.
Well, the abilities of all the Moonfolk was to return lands to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some random cards that just put as many hands from your hand into the battlefield. Yep. So that was the way you could kind of tribal.
That's what the Kami did, wasn't it? You pay 1 mana and it gets a land tapped.
And I feel like there was something else that did it in blue also. I don't remember though. Return to 1 target creature, return target artifact card. Yeah, it's pretty good, 4 mana. Because it like slows them down a bit so that you can get the whatever next turn, and then that just seems broken. Yeah, so you're showing me it's broken.
So I will state, as far as I understand, when it flips over, there will be a chance where they have control, and they can kill it before you cast any spell.
So if they're casting a 3 mana spell, and you cast a 3 mana spell, does it negate their?
It does not negate anything that's already on the stack. It prevents it from entering the stack for future spells.
So if you cast a 3 mana spell and they respond with it, can they respond with a 3 mana spell?
So from my understanding, if you play a 3 mana spell, they cannot respond with a 3 mana spell.
Yeah, because it says cast.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I will note that before you have your opportunity to cast a spell, they will first get priority to try to kill it. So
yeah, So they're probably. It gives them a couple turns to get ready. Yeah.
And exactly. It also, it's coming prior, and it's only 3 health. So I think a lot of times what this will be is it will be bounce a card, draw a card.
Don't forget that they can't see it unless you click it.
Oh yeah. So it will be bounce a card, then draw a card, and then get a kill spell, which that is card advantage. Some decks, that's good enough.
Take a kill spell, you mean? Like
yeah, it's going to get hit by a kill spell.
Yeah.
For some decks, that's good enough. That is a lunar rejection, but at sorcery speed.
Yeah. Which
I guess lunar rejection is played because it has special abilities.
Can we look up lunar rejection?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Very good.
It's
good to bring in other cards.
I will say lunar rejection sees more play because it targets wolves or werewolves for cheap. But
no, okay.
Worst case, it's a 4 mana, bounce a spell, draw a card. Sometimes that's a little slow. But the reason I think this card is insane, so if they can't kill it, if they don't have an instant speed kill spell, and you flip it over, if you can figure out what spells they can cast, you could prevent them from casting spells if you could cast these as same mana value.
Yeah.
So, in Alchemy, there is a deck, so I'm going to switch over to Alchemy. There's a deck around this card, Inquisitor Captain. Because the thing about Inquisitor Captain is it's a 4-drop that needs you to play 20 or more creatures with mana value 3 or less. And the thing is, if a card gets exiled, it's no longer carrying those 20, so they're usually playing 24 or 28 cards, 8 creatures with mana value 2 or less. Its trigger is strong enough that this card just sees play. So, if you're playing against this Inquisitor Captain deck, at least a good half of their cards that aren't lands are creatures of mana value 2 or 3, then a few 1-drops to hold it together. So
I see what you're saying.
And they don't have flash. So if you match up against this deck, if you're able to play a 2-drop and a 3-drop every turn, you stop it. Now, also in Alchemy, there's Ominous Traveler, which is a 2-drop that drafts a card, and then you could spend mana as though there were mana of any color to cast the spell. And if you cast it, Ominous Traveler comes back in your hand to do it again. I looked at the cards in this. There are 6 3-drops in Ominous Traveler's spellbook. Math-wise, you have a 72% chance of going Ominous Traveler into 3-drop, locking them out of the majority of their deck, and then doing it again next turn.
Yeah, so, yeah, definitely... And you were telling me Luris, right?
Luris of the Dream. Oh, yeah,
Remember,
modern!
Yeah, look up Luris. But yeah, it does seem like it does make the mental game a lot more important. And it basically plays like, because yeah, Luris you can only have stuff that costs 2 or less.
Yep.
And
this is a modern staple, so yeah. That's all the way down to modern.
And Counterflux, which we should probably also look up, which is kind of the card, this is like, oh, not Counterflux. What's
Counter Squall?
Yeah, Counter Squall.
Nope.
What?
It's like a 2-mana counter storm or something like that.
Cold Snap. I'm gonna Google Cold Snap. Cold Snap enchantment.
You can actually do Sensei's Divining Top combo.
Oh yeah.
Because that's so we're talking about. There's even a card in Legacy.
Here it is.
Here it is. Counterbalance. All right.
Reveal the top card. If counterspell is the same card. Oh, so this is a little different.
Yeah,
so, but it's the same concept.
But this, so to be clear, that Luris that we showed you is a modern stable. This is a Legacy stable. This was the deck that came in got banned because it was too good.
You get too many counters. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I want you to understand that if you could lock your opponent out of playing cards, like I think if Living Breakthrough stops 1 turn from your opponent, it probably wins you the game.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of can you do that? So if you're facing that specific deck, I think the answer is yes. You could also, if I could go back to Palaka Predate, if you're in Standard, if you choose to have your other color be black, Palaka Predation is a 3-mana card. That's also a land, so they have good reason to be played this anyways. And it allows you to take out one of their bigger cards that cost more than 3 while stopping their 3-drops, give you a sense of what their hand looks like. This is a very playable card in Standard right now, along with Siphon Insight, which is a 2-mana card, which is going to let you get cards from their library and acts as a finisher. The combination of these means that might even be playable in Standard. It very much just looks... It's very much what is the meta like, because if they can't deal with this 3/3, the moment it flips over, it will win you the game, and some decks can't deal with that.
Well, okay, you have to think of some things, like... Like, it'll win you the game if you also have spells that are instants to play with all the different mana costs. So you do have to remember that.
Yeah.
I do think it's super OP, though.
Yeah.
Busted. And I think, even as a... I think, yeah, what you're saying about how, like, it makes the game about... Like, it almost just straight up counters certain decks, in a way. And it makes the whole game about just thinking about what mana cost your opponent's going to want. You can even just look at what mana they have open. Be like, oh, they only have 3 mana open.
Oh, that's smart.
I'll play a 3-drop so that they can't play whatever 3 mana they think they're going to play.
I think that as constructed gets more... As every person constructed starts playing similar decks, as the meta gets isolated, this card gets stronger because you know much more how to predict what they're doing. And I think the costs in this game are pretty uniform right now in Standard, to an extent where this can effectively lock people down, where you just naturally will have cards with the mana value of other cards. So I do think that this card is good. It's all just a question of, can you survive to flip this over? Because there are aggro decks that will kill you. There will aggro decks that will kill you because bouncing one of their creatures is not enough to stop them if you're spending 4 mana on it. Drawing a card is not a backup effect that's good enough, surprisingly.
Oh, it is a rare. Okay.
Yeah. This card can win you the game. It just, can you set it up? And that's really the question. I think the end result is, if the other cards, like Ominous Traveler, if a deck revolves around that, could play that more easily, then this card becomes insane. I think, one of the hard parts is until the meta gets stable, this is at best a sideboard option because you don't know your opponent's deck. It's going to be very hard for you to play around with it.
Yeah. I feel like this card is not... If it does see play, it's not going to be at the beginning of the meta. No one's going to play... Like, if you play this right away, it's just going to be a...
You crazy or you're brilliant?
I mean, a 4 mana that eventually becomes a 3/3 flyer is pretty good. Like, this isn't so bad, especially for limited. You get to bounce a thing.
Oh, limited, this is perfectly awesome, I think.
I don't think it's like a bomb, though. Just because, dude, like... Bounce something for 4 is okay. That's not really going to make you come back. Drawing a card is okay. I mean...
I guess it kind of puts you a little behind. I guess I see your point.
I think it's okay. Like, I think there are probably some uncommons and commons better than this. I don't think it's a bomb, but it's good. It's
Fair
good
enough. It's a 3.5 out of 5, which is going to make your cut. But it's not like...
Probably not first pick.
Exactly. I like that. All right. Well, Living Breakthrough broke through a lot of our time, so... Now we get to the modern age, which so the first 2 triggers are just draw a card, then discard a card, and then it's a 2 mana card that flips over to a 2/3 flyer.
This is a sick card. It's just 2 mana for some scrying. See, this I can see you playing even in limited. You probably don't want it to be your only 2-drop, but you could play like 4 of these and just like plunk, 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 like plunk them down.
I think you could play this as if it's like a 3 mana card in your curve, or even 4 mana.
Yeah.
Because like one of the big things we keep talking about, like if you play this on turn 2, you're not attacking till turn 5. This thing has flied. So what if you're not attacking by turn 5?
Yeah. 2/3 flyer seems pretty good. Yeah. Play this in limited. Pick it often.
Yeah. If the Haunted Hollows deck happens to be blue as well.
Yeah, blue did. Sorry, I'm always reading stuff.
Blue got really good stuff. I'm glad I hear. Yeah, no. Blue always gets good stuff. Just ask a Hullbreaker Horror, and then watch away. Thank goodness, blue got a response to Allrun's Epiphany, so that blue can successfully counter blue decks. Blue, it's like, they need to figure out how to keep it cool while toning down some of its sharp edges. And I think they're figuring it out. I think this is really cool, and it's pushing blue in a different direction than I'm just going to hold the game hostage until I win.
It's a good card.
But yeah, good enough that in that Hollowed Haunting deck, if it ends up splashing in blue, this might make it. As I said,
I could see it. Yeah.
The ability to draw a card to cycle into Hollowed Haunting is pretty important. Okay. And it's a spirit. Spirit should not be underestimated because if you go into Innistrad, spirits plus enchantments were actually a tribal theme.
Nice.
So
that's kind of disappointing that the Spirit Tribal is in Innistrad when originally is from Kamigawa.
Yeah. No, that was actually one thing I will spoil that's kind of disappointing. I was super excited to see that they were making Spirit Tribal, and then Standard was going to rotate into Kamigawa, and we would get even more spirits. I'm like, yes, Spirit Tribal is going to be like in Standard, and then there's like no real spirits that have spirit tribal in
It's
this.
more like enchantment tribal. Enchantments or spirits seem to be more enchantment than spirit.
Yeah.
Which is cool to me, but it...
Yeah. I think it's cool. I just kind of am disappointed that there's no soul shift. There's no spirits merging working with each other.
Yeah, that
or
was really
if you
cool.
or if you want to even talk about this lore of merging, spirits working with non-spirits. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Kamigawa was a weird set with that.
It was. All right. Now we get to the Black Sagas. The Life of Toshiro Umezawa. So the first turn and the second are both you choose whether you give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn, another creature -1/1 until end of turn, or if there's no good targets, you just gain 2 life. Then it flips over into a 2/3 that you can tap to pay 1 life and add a black, and as long as you spend it on instant or sorcery spells. For those who don't know, these 2 abilities are based off of a famous card, Umezawa's Jitte.
Toshiro Umezawa.
Yeah, the main character of the original Kamigawa.
Yeah, you gotta give him the... But how it actually looked.
Yeah. But anyways, it should be noted that these first 2 effects, the +2/+2, -1/1, gain 2, that's the original ability of you can remove charge counters to give one of those to the equipped creature.
Well, one of those 2 to activate. Wait, could the buff only go on the equipped creature?
The buff could only go on the equipped creature.
Yeah, and then -1 was,
Yeah. -1 was whoever you want, and gain 2 life is obviously on the player.
And then why did they make him an instant or sorcery? That's interesting. Oh, I guess because, you know what, lore-wise, Toshi in the books would use his blood to cast spells. So.
Also, if you look at the card itself, the whole thing is that he uses, whenever you kill something, he can use its blood to cast spells from your graveyard.
Okay.
So, that is actually still in flavor of Toshiro himself. That being said, I'm not sure what to think about this card. Like, how good are those effects without a proper body for it? Like, I feel like in Limited, this isn't, like, that good.
No, me either. Like, we'll kill a little 1/1 and then eventually get a mana for... So, yeah, this just seems like kind of a bad card. Like, lore-wise, it's cool.
Yeah. Lore-wise, I love it.
Maybe if you have, like, Enchantment Tribal in Limited, you could, like, put it in a slot. But these effects are, like, so weird in black, and they don't really... The -1 makes sense. I guess these 2 make sense. But the buff, the random tiny buff and the random tiny shrink... Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have...
Maybe ultra aggressive, too. Could go in, like, an ultra aggressive limited deck.
If you don't... Ooh, ultra aggressive. Well, the reason I don't care about ultra... We'll get to a saga later that I think just goes better in that position.
Oh, okay.
It's really weird. This is the uncommon. I think the common in black sees more play than this.
I give this 1.5 stars.
Yeah, you'll play it. You won't like it, but it will fit.
And it's an uncommon.
Yeah, it's an uncommon.
That's so weird.
That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, I love Toshiro. I just realized why I love Toshiro.
It's lore uncommon.
He's edgy. Like, we read it back when we were in high school. He's just, like, the perfect edgy. I'm not here to be good. I'm here
like
for
Deadpool.
power.
Yeah! He's like literally like Deadpool of the Magic books. Yeah, 100%.
That makes sense. I like that. That's why we liked Toshiro, because he was Deadpool and we were high schoolers. At oldest.
Alright. Remember, you gotta click it.
Long Reach of the Night. 4 mana. Each opponent sacrifices a creature unless they discard a card, happens again the next turn, and then it comes back
Yeah, that's good.
as a 0/4 menace that, when it attacks, it gets +X/+0, where X is the number of creatures in their graveyard.
How much mana was it again?
4. And I think it's just a question of, can you make sure they don't have fodder to sack? Because if you can, that's just value followed by good stuff.
I mean, the first turn's gonna be a surprise. But the second turn, yeah, they'll probably be able to mitigate it to where you're not taking their best thing.
The ability that they get to choose if they discard a card, I think prevents this from being, like, standard playable.
Oh wait, unless they discard it. Oh, it's not. I thought it was if they can't sacrifice a creature, discard it. Yeah.
I think that prevents it from being standard
yeah,
playable.
Yeah, agreed. It's not that great.
But as for limited, I mean, that 2-for-1s and then plays a creature for limited. I think you need to get board stall first, though.
You can play a couple of these in a limited deck, yeah. Because, like, discarding cards is... If you have 1 or 2 discard effects in like, Mind Rots in limited, they can be better than you think. They can, like, just have a game where it's like you guys are even, you both have 3 cards, then you just play Mind Rot and they're done.
For people who don't know.
Oh yeah, Mind Rot discard 2. Yeah.
And just so you know, Jabaya, there's a card Go Blank, which is the same theme with Exile and Graveyard, and this is a standard staple right now.
But you want there to be cards in their graveyard.
Yeah. So I will state that this one we want cards in their graveyard, but like as we're saying, Mind Rot effects can be good. There's a Mind Rot effect in standard right now. This is main decked.
Oh, people are using it. Oh, so you're just saying, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, see, discarding is good.
Yep.
Exactly.
So this is definitely a value card. You can't really just play it to play it. You've gotta... I feel like with a lot of these sagas, they're 4 mana cards that you play as if they're a 5 or 6 mana card on your curve.
Yeah.
They're 2
That's
mana
how I've been thinking of them.
Yeah. And when you take that into account, like how I said the white one, the white 4 mana card is like the finisher for the more aggressive decks.
Mm-hmm.
This I feel is either value or kind of seen as one of the finishers for a more mid-range or late game deck. Like the fact that this can eventually attack as like an 8/4 or something, like this is going to menace. It's going to kill 2 creatures when it swings.
In which format?
In limited. Sorry, in limited.
You think in limited? I don't know if he'll ever get to 8. You think he'll get to 8?
I
You haven't played limited in a while.
All I'm going to say, it's going to get big enough that's killing 2 creatures when it swings because the menace. So this is kind of a 4/1. It just takes a long time, and you're going to need to hold them down while you eke out value from them.
Yeah, and it's 4. It kind of also solves the problem of Mind Rot and limited, is like you don't. A lot of times it's best in like tempo when you guys are like tempoing each other, and it's hard to like play it because then it's like you're costing all that tempo. Yes. But this does both because you play the card. So you're like adding tempo, but you're also getting the discard. So
I will say another issue of Mind Rot is sometimes you're in a top deck war, and then you top deck Mind Rot, and it's like, well, they have no cards at hand. And
yeah, I think this card would be pretty good.
Meanwhile, if they're in that situation, they're forced to sacrifice creatures.
I would give it 2.5 stars. I wouldn't give it that much.
Yeah, it's another one of those. You need to know you're in this archetype before you pick the card.
Yeah.
But again, good card. So now we get to the common. So it's 1 mana. This is the cheapest saga, as cheap as sagas could get.
Each one loses one, go. Okay.
It drains them for 1, and you gain 1, and then it flips over to a 2/2 with menace, and then gives your vehicles menace.
Okay, that's hella good.
Yeah. No, this is a shock to the face, gains you some life, and then not only is a threat that can get through on like when it attacks on turn 4. It could also give your other threats more threats so that they can get through.
This is a cool aggro starter. Yeah.
I think, so I've been like looking at this. I'm having hopes that there could be a black aggro deck that comes into standard using the cards that came here. And I think this is your 1-drop.
Yeah.
Like this is one of your 1-drops.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
No, it's just a good card.
If you're picking this, you better be an aggro deck, and I guess the vehicle menace could help you finish some stuff off in limited. But
I will state there's a specific curve where for this to be in standard, which is this card on 1, vehicle on 2, turn 3 that flips over, you immediately crew the vehicle and start swinging in.
So So these creatures don't have haste when they come out.
They do not have haste.
You can still crew.
But you can crew without haste.
Okay.
So when they crew, the vehicle just decides when the vehicle comes out is whether to add haste or not.
Right, okay.
So...
yeah, I like this card.
Yeah. The 1 mana... It's like, sagas are so slow, and then they make very aggressive sagas that impress me.
Is this just street art of him? It's not even actually...
Yeah, so if you back out, flip it over, it's the theme on the back of their biker's jacket.
Reckoner? Oh, because it's Okiba's, like, the gang or whatever?
Yeah. And that's the art of the road captain on the back. Okay. The road captain himself is a rare later on in the set, but
nice.
Yeah. All right. Tribute to Hirobi. So the first 2 are actually penalties. Each opponent creates a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token, and then when it flips, 3/3. This one has haste and flying, so it's getting through. It's doing it fast. When it comes to play, you gain control of all rat tokens. So those rat tokens they gave you, give it back. And then whenever it attacks, you could sacrifice another creature, draw a card. this, I think, is seen standard play, even if you don't get those rat tokens back.
Yeah, this card's hella good.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, this is really good. It's 2-drop. You get some creatures possibly. Even if they're able to use them before you, whatever. It's like you spent 2 mana on a 3/3 flying haste on turn 4. Because like a 3/3 flying haste with a draw effect, that one fairy from what was it called?
Eldraine?
Eldraine, thank you. That one
Brazen Borrower?
Not Brazen Borrower. It was like there's a 4 mana black card.
Oh, Rankle.
Yeah, Rankle.
So yeah, this card.
Yeah.
4 mana.
This card, well, it was insane because you could attack with it right away from your hand. But it's kind of like a Rankle. It's like a weaker Rankle, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a good card. It only costs you 2 mana and some turns instead of 4 mana. It's slower, but I think it's good. You definitely play this in limited, 100%.
I will say that Rankle, the value of Rankle was the fact that each player sacrifices a creature, means you could often isolate and kill something.
Yeah. When I played it in Standard, I didn't get like that high up in ranks, but I played a Rankle deck, and yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you only needed to hit twice with it.
And while you played a bit off meta, I will tell you the meta deck in that time had Rankles.
Yep.
So, this card, as I said, there's already that black-white sacrifice deck. You're giving them another sacrifice trigger, which is card draw. You're giving them a threat with a 3/3 flyer haster.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about the ninjutsu or something like that, you could just block and kill the rats.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid of that, hey, bring them to me. More cannon fodder for my spells. Like, this... Yeah, I feel like it already slots in the best deck in Standard right now. And it's just a good aggressive card, so it could even see play in other aggressive decks.
It gives them blockers, though.
What?
It gives them blockers, though, for aggressive decks.
Oh, that's a good
That's the thing. I don't think you'd want to play this in an aggressive deck. Maybe you play it after the...
Maybe it's still... Maybe just the sacrifice deck, then?
If you played in an aggressive deck, you'd have to do something...
About the blockers.
Yeah.
Good point.
Because a 1/1's not that big a deal, but it is kind of like anti.
And they're actively trying to kill it, so.
Uh-huh.
Alright. So maybe not aggressive, but I still think that black-white sacrifice deck, the only question with it is what cards make the cuts, because it's already the best deck. What cards are not the best, so we could put these in.
Oh, is the black-white sacrifice the best in Standard right now?
Yes, so I'm not sure if it's Standard or Alchemy, but Rite of Oblivion. This is if you have sacrifice fodder, it's sacrifice a permanent for 2 mana, exile anything, and then it gets flashed back, so it's a double kill spell.
Wow.
And so, like, that's already a great card, a reason to be black-white. Plus you have good sacrifice fodder like Eye Twitch, which is a 1/1 flyer, and then it learns, so you can get more cards off of that value of sacrificing it. And then just, like, because you're already in black-white, you can also play good cards like Vanishing Verse, which is just an instant speed exile effect. And so what's happening is you're just wiping them of the board state, and you're just playing little 1/1s, and just slowly over time you're accruing value and wiping them off the board. This was not playable while Alrund's Epiphany was around, but with that banned, these decks have been cropping up, and there's even more support in Alchemy, so... They've been doing good. This is, like, one of the decks to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see this going good in that deck. Sacrifice trigger, and then it's just a 3/3 haster. If they don't do something about the rats you give them, then yeah, you just get some more rats.
Yeah, even if they deal with the rats, 3/3 flying haste for 2. Alright, so that's the black cards. Seem pretty good other than Toshiro.
Black Sagas, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the black Sagas, yeah. We're doing all the Sagas first. Alright, next is Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Oh, yeah.
So, first you create a 2/2 Red Goblin Shaman token with 1 attacks, create a treasure token. So, right off the bat, for 3 mana, 2/2 attacking creates treasure tokens. It's okay. That body, I think, is worth a bit more than 2 mana, but not fully 3. Then you can discard up to 2 cards and then draw that many cards, so it helps you cycle through your deck. And then it flips over to Reflection of Kiki Jiki, which allows you to tap 1 and tap, create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary... Yeah. It creates a token of a non-legendary creature, it has haste, and you get sacrifice at the end. So you copy one of your creatures, get to swing it in, and then let it die off. Kiki-Jiki. So this is based off of Kiki-Jiki back from the original set.
The original Mirror Breaker.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of... I remember we just had a bunch of these.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because we bought so much Kamigawa.
Yeah. Dude.
You gotta give him the original look.
And he's such a good card. I think during its era, this was a part of Standard.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah.
But I will state there is a combo that they made sure to stop. This used to have a theme where you could play, I don't remember the name of the card, but when it enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target permanents. So you could tap Kiki-Jiki, make a copy, it comes to play, you untap Kiki-Jiki, tap Kiki-Jiki, make another copy.
Basically, any creature that comes into play and untaps a permanent goes infinite with this.
Yep.
But then also there was an enchantment in 8th edition at the time.
Intruder Alarm.
Intruder Alarm, yeah, I can remember that.
I know because I played this deck.
Yeah, it was an 8th edition too. You're showing the 8th edition. Yeah,
this is the version we had. I know it looks ugly, but that's our ugly.
I liked 8th edition look, because probably just because we started with it. We literally started when Mirrodin block was ending, so we were looking at had some Mirrodin stuff, and like Scourge and
Scourge was like a past set that you would find at the stores, but wasn't the new stuff.
And Kamigawa was coming out. When it came out, we were like, "This is."
Yep. We started. I think it was for Christmas. We got a 7th edition starter set. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
you played this, yeah. This
anyways,
degeneracy. You're always loving the combo stuff.
Yeah, so there's Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. I'm Hyper Johnny. I love combos.
Which one likes the big?
That's Timmy.
I'm Timmy.
Yep. And no one likes someone who's full Spike, except for other Spikes. You can live in your tournament format. The rest of us want to have fun. Anyways, they added 1 mana to the cost to prevent infinites. That was really smart of them. I think that's a perfect way to get this effect back without having it abused. So, with it not being abused, how do you feel about the card?
So it gets you a treasure token guy, and then it loots. I think it's still good.
Yep.
I don't know the standard meta, so I don't know what creatures you'd be copying and what enter the battlefield, leave the battlefield effects you'd be getting more of with it, but
I will say
it's a good 3-mana slot, yeah.
I will say, from my understanding of Standard, the creature is literally going to sweet in to die to give you a treasure token a lot, and that treasure token is going to be quite valuable in Standard.
Yeah, I think in Limited this isn't. Sorry, not to interrupt you.
No.
I think in Limited this isn't it's a bomb if you have other bombs.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I was going to say, I played Kiki-Jiki in that combo deck, and sometimes you didn't get the combo. But you would just get a 6-drop, you tap, make a copy of the 6-drop, and could swing in freely. Do not underestimate this effect. You do not need a combo for this effect to be absolutely insane. You don't even need an enter the battlefield effect. You just need a high attack value.
Yeah.
Once this flips, if you can activate this without them killing your 2/2...
And you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, so you still get the enter the graveyard triggers for the token.
Oh, because it's sacrificed.
It doesn't even just exile.
Not exiled. Yeah. Nah, so, yeah. If this isn't just shocked when it comes to play, it's good. I don't think there's any deck in Standard that supports it, but one of the cool things I love is seeing these cards that are almost good enough to be they're good enough to start making a deck exist that doesn't exist already. And so this is one of those cards that has enough power to start pulling the existence of another deck if it has more support that it's not there already. So we'll have to see how people use it.
We have to remember, though, it's probably hard to rely on a combo deck when it comes out 2 turns later. Rely on this for a combo deck.
This is not a combo card. This is a value
I feel like
card.
we should think about that for a lot of these, where it's even this one, the Living Breakthrough. Because you're always gonna give the opponent 2 turns to think about it.
Oh, so so they'll save their removal and all of that.
Save the removal, just position the game differently. Anything really. But
that's a good.
So point. It's hard, but it's hard to conceptualize that. So.
Yeah, it's also you have to question how much. Once they know how much can they actually do to really interact with it. How I'm gonna say this with all the heart. How smart is your opponent actually?
True.
All right. Anyways, we get the next one. Kumano faces Kakazan. So it's another 1 mana 1. It deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. Then, your next creature spell this turn enters the battlefield with additional +1/+1 counter. And then it flips over to a 2/2 with haste that if you kill a creature with damage, you can exile it instead. So,
nice.
Yeah, this is the aggressive Saga. 1 damage, and then your 2-drop, your bear you're playing your 2/2, it becomes a 3/3 instead, and then you still get a 1 mana 2/2 at the end of all of this.
Yeah, this is a sick mono. I love. These are the best cards for Arena, just because just mono red aggro is like the cheapest way to go. Mm-hmm. It's just, yep, it's a good card for that. And this ability is literally, it's got to just be for lore, right?
Yeah, I can actually show them. I still remember when we were kids, you guys were like messing with the card. I'm like, hey, be careful of my Kumano Master Yamabushi! And everyone was laughing because I'd always say the full name of Kumano Master Yamabushi. I'd never just say Kumano. But yeah, during the era, the whole theme is... Oh, Japanese samurai vibes? Yeah, Lambo Droid. This is a Japanese samurai set. That was... Kamigawa was the Japanese samurai set.
Yeah, just wait till we get to the non-saga cards in this set, yeah.
Yeah, samurai is literally a creature type that is here for this set. It's awesome.
Hella cool.
This is, in case you're wondering, Kamigawa is based off of Shinto mythology, which is where Kami, Oni, it's the Japanese aesthetic. And this is them 1,000 years in the future. So it's kind of has... It's a mixture of trying to keep balance as well as Blade Runner. Like, the whole Ghost in the Shell theme, future is advancing. Like, the whole idea of the modern age, this card, is that it's a, beautiful natural tree getting trapped inside this whole city that's all going advanced technology. Vector Glider is a spirit, drifting from the spirit realm into a neon world full of new possibilities. It's the whole idea is the crossing between those two.
Very cool.
But yeah, Kumano, basically it's the aggressive Saga, and I don't think its abilities are too important.
Don't forget.
Yeah, exiling instead is definitely valuable. It's definitely valuable. I don't think you play it because it has that ability. You play it because it's a 2/2 haste for 1 mana because you think you could get through with it. This finally flips on turn 3. You kill something as well and maybe play another one of these guys. Yeah, good card.
Good card, cool card.
Good card.
I forget, I have a lot to say about the lore reviews,
Yeah, because we actually know the story and other people don't.
Yeah.
Right. The Shattered States era. 5 mana Saga. Gain control of target creature till end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste until end of turn. Then creatures you control get +1/+0 till end of turn. And then it flips into a 3/3 trample haste.
Nice. Which
means it can attack as early as turn 7.
Oh, 5 mana. Oh.
Yeah, it was great until you saw that there were 2 more points of mana than it was supposed to have.
There's so much information, that happens on these cards that, I have to, look at them a couple times before I really can conceptualize what's going on. But yeah, this is, that first effect is really good and limited, so you'll probably play it for that. The rest of it's just, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe the samurai will be relevant. Maybe the enchantment creature type will be relevant.
I will say that first effect is usually 3 mana in unlimited.
Sometimes I've seen it at 4 with a little extra that they try to throw in sometimes.
Mascot Exhibition, but that made it cheaper. That was its special effect. Generally, what you want to do is you want to gain control of a creature, then sacrifice it with something like Echo of Death's Wail. I don't think there's enough sacrifice triggers in this meta. In case you're wondering, there was a sacrifice meta back in Dungeons & Dragons because they had a 3 mana card that was gain control like that.
Yeah.
And then they had a 2 mana card that you just sacrifice another creature with no mana cost attached. So you could play a 2-drop and then 3 mana, steal their creature, sacrifice it to make your 2-drop bigger, attack. And they play another creature, you steal it, make your creature bigger, attack. And it's both cards.
Unlimited?
That was unlimited.
Yeah.
Those were all commons, and it just turned out that the one was just a 2-drop that you're happy to have in black, and the other was a 3-drop that you're happy to have in red.
Dang.
So,
yeah, black red is always The most toxic limited color.
It's just, if that is supported, in Dungeons & Dragons it was supported to such an extent it was a real problem. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's as supported in this one. I don't think there's enough sacrifice effects where you could get cheaply with 5 mana. But yeah, whether or not that first ability is good decides whether this is good. Because sometimes you play that first ability as the way you win the game.
Yeah, I guess I could see it like that, where it's like, basically win the game first ability in limited. Second time, if like that you didn't win yet, then sure, that'll do it. I don't know if this is doing it on turn 7 though, but it does give you another creature. Yep. Yeah, this is an interesting card.
I feel like the Nameless Conqueror is nameless because he's like, don't put me on this card, man. I don't want to be affiliated with it.
Anonymous Conqueror.
Look, if you see me, there's a problem. You've lost already.
Yep. That's all I have to say.
Alright. And now we get to green. Azusa's Many Journeys. 2 mana, you may play an additional land this turn. Then you gain 3 life. And then it flips over to become a 3/3 that whenever it becomes blocked, so if you're attacking with it, you can untap up to 3 lands you control. Do note that is mid-combat, so you can't, like, spend 3... You can't, like, have 5 mana, spend 3, attack, have those 3 untap to play an 8 mana card. That does not work. Unless it's instant speed. So, fair warning with that. This is another one where we're going to need a moment to look at this and think about it. Because, so, this does not draw a card, therefore it's no explore.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay, but like, so explore during its time can see play because it has the first effect, but also draws a card, so it's giving you the land for the effect. Gaining 3 life is not worth drawing a card, and the 3/3, because it needs to attack, because it needs so many things to work properly, I feel like it's just not going to mesh well with the deck. This is like, the way I see it, this is the 2-drop for the ramp deck, and just praying that you get through that late game. And I just feel like even if you want this effect, there has to be better cards that you can use for the effect.
Dude, and what if they just choose not to block? Because, like, what if you tap 3 before your attack to play something, and you still have, like, 3 mana left over, and so they just choose not to block your 3/3 because they're like, oh, I know you're going to play 6 tries. So it's like, I don't think this card's very good.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, even if you, like, the 3/3, this isn't for a deck. This is a ramp deck. Ramp decks usually just make a big honking beater, and then that beater is what's crushing you. This is pretty big, but it's not honking.
It's big, but not honking. So, yeah, I could see maybe it being played for just this first effect, but like you said, it doesn't have the draw card in it, like Exploited. So yeah, pretty bad card.
Mm-hmm.
But Azusa's Lost But Seeking, what it's based off of, is not a bad card.
No, it's not. And it was great for the Moonfolk.
Or maybe that's the card I was thinking of for Moonfolk Treble, was this one. Wait, show them. Yes.
There we are.
Original. Yep. Nice.
Beautiful. Alright. With that, Boseiju reaches skyward. So it's 4 mana. First ability, you get 2 basic forests, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then you can return 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. If you've already noticed by the way I'm saying this, I'm not very hyped about this card. Then it becomes a Reacher that gets +1/+1 for each land you control. So, it's a single token of Ren and 7, which I will say Ren and 7 does see meta play. Like, it's a 5 mana card, and its -3 is basically to create this branch of Boseiju as a token. Mm-hmm. So, what's the value you get? For being 1 turn late, effectively, 2 basic forests, and if you want an land on top of your library, you can.
Yeah, this is a weird card. Just gets you a ton of lands. This seems like a fun deck. Like, if I had a deck that could play a card like this, that'd be fun, because I love decks like this.
Yeah, no, again, it's like, this is a great effect, but it's like, there's already a mass of cards, like Ren and 7 does see play, and the fact that it's a token is actually important for why that sees play.
Oh, really?
So Ren and 7 is 5, it creates that big old token. Well, on 4 you play Essica's Chariot. Essica's Chariot, like if you could get to 4 mana in a green deck, why are you not playing Essica's Chariot when it attacks?
A token that's so it populates. Okay.
Yeah, so it populates when it attacks, and if it populates an additional one of these guys,
right, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that sometimes that happens, and even if they could kill Essica's valuably, they'll just still concede because they can't deal with 2 of these.
Yep. Yeah, this card's not very good. Kind of weird.
It's
probably good in limited, just because like it's eventually a giant dude.
Yeah,
it thins your deck out.
The thing is, before you can play this, you need the board to come to a grinding halt.
Yeah, if you're in like top deck mode, it's like if you like have no other big creatures to grab during your draft, yeah, this will do it. But,
by the way, unless you specifically have like an 8-drop you need play, you never use this level 2.
Yeah, the level 2 is just holding you back.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with Ren and 7, it does, if you're about to use its +1 to reveal cards from your library, you do get it in hand.
Yeah, you could combo with some other card, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, just like, I will tell you, drawing two forests is actually not as good as drawing 2 cards. I know it seems pretty similar, but there's actually a difference.
Forests is where all the cards live. It's where the elves live.
It's possible for you to actually get lucky. I know it's unbelievable, but it's possible to draw more than just lands in your deck. Alright. The Dragon Kami Reborn. 3 mana. You gain 2 life, and you look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile one of them face down with a hatching counter on it, and put the rest in the bottom of your library. And then when it flips over... Oh, really quick. That effect happens twice. So you'll gain 4 life, you'll look at a total of 6 cards and pick 2 out with hatchling counters. You get a 0/1 that whenever this or a dragon you control dies, cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with basically one of those 2 cards to get cast without paying its mana cost. Important to note, you can cast it even if it's on opponent's turn, and it is cast. Why is it important that it's cast instead of coming into play? The biggest creature in Standard right now that doesn't really see play, when this creature is cast, it gets haste and ward 10 as long as it was cast.
Oh my gosh.
So you could actually, if you manage in those 6 cards to get Tarask... I don't like this visual. There we go. There's the visual. In case you're wondering, that's the entire city he's just eating for fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, if you can get that, this can be good.
Well, then you also need a dragon to die.
Yeah. Well, or a dragon to die. I think most of the time, you have to treat it as gain 4 life, kill this to get a big creature. Because, as I said, one of the decks in the format is all about exiling. So, you can't really trust that dragons are going to die. Mm-hmm. They might just get exiled in the format right now. What do you think about Limited, though?
Nah, this isn't that good.
Okay.
In my opinion. Unless you have some sacrifice triggers, because, like, you're not... In Limited, if you're playing enough bombs to where this is consistent, then your deck's bad. But
I was going to say, if you have bombs, your deck should be good. You're saying high mana cards.
Like yeah. I just mean high mana cards. If you're playing if you're playing a bunch of high mana... Bombs, to me, is just a big...
Makes sense. It's a finisher.
Yeah, if you're playing a bunch of finishers... then this is good, but if your deck is full of a bunch of finishers, it's probably not a good limited deck, and this is already rare.
Mm-hmm. This is so close to being good, but right now...
You can probably play 1 copy if you have, like, a sacrifice trigger for it, but it's like... And plus, you're not going to have dragons, or you won't reliably have dragons for the rest of the other cards. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really pick it. I might pick it if, like, my deck was set already, you know?
Really quick, I just want to check, because this feels like it was built... for this deck, which does not exist. Yeah, it's when you cast it. So this is the big, beefy dragon god. If you cast it, you search your library for 5 different dragons and put them into your hand.
Okay, yeah.
So this card was built so you could get Tybot and get free. Well, guess what? That dragon deck does not see play, and when it does, it sees play as red-white only.
This goes in the Commander Dragon deck, yeah.
Exactly. In Brawl, in Commander, this makes it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
pretty
too slow.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's real. I like it.
It's the flavor.
But all right, Jugon defends the temple. 3 mana. Create a 1/1 green human monk with add a green, so a Lawn War Elf. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and then it flips over to a 2/2 flyer. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you can pay X and put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. As long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, it becomes a 7/7 flying trampler.
The thing I realize about these sagas is how much text. Like, Lambo pointed it out, but...
Yeah.
Oh my... I remember why I didn't go through the set beforehand, just because there was so much to read.
Kaldheim, I think, was the one with the most amount of text, and one of the problems with that is that the flip cards had no connection to the other sides, it felt like.
Oh, really?
Like, it
so you
was...
just really had to read it and, like...
Like, Redain, God of the Worthy, is,
So this... Let me... Sorry, I'm
yeah,
finished.
No. I think it's more important that we talk about the card. But, yeah, there were cards that the backsides didn't really connect to one another.
Yeah, I feel it. Okay, so this gives you a creature, modifies at least 2 creatures, and maybe a third if you want to pay the X. And then you need 2 more to make it huge. I mean... Even if your creatures end up dying and stuff, I feel like this is really good for limited.
Yeah, I will say, like, once I just ripped off that bomb layer of text and didn't care about it, I'm like, hey, this card's actually good.
Yeah.
Like, that bomb layer
and
is
you have a broken card now with rips, but it's okay.
Fair enough.
It was good.
I don't know how this flips, because we lost chapter 3.
Yeah, because he just ripped the bottom off, but okay. No, I get you though. Like, yeah, it makes it seem like if you read it all at once, it makes it seem like, oh, you're trying to get to this end effect, but you actually don't even need that end effect for it to be good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
dude, if anything, you could just... I feel like each effect is its own, like, really good thing, and you could just have it just be those effects and it'd be okay. Well, maybe not the first one. You kind of... Yeah.
Yep. But, anyway, so I will say the first one is usually valued at... It's a 1-mana card, but it's a very good 1-mana card. Yeah. Like, insanely good 1-mana card. Fine as a 2-mana card, if not bad. The second effect is just, it's decent. If you're playing a modified deck, that's good. And I think that's the thing. Like, this could see standard play if a modified deck exists. Because, this entering a battlefield, adding X+1/+1 counters to a creature is a huge effect. I can't remember what the card's called. I think it's some sort of twin card. Ren and Seri, I think.
Is it Ren, W-R-E-N?
Maybe Rin? Rin and Seri. There it is. Rin and Seri.
Separate.
Oh, wrong one. This is not the card I was thinking of. It's Hana and Elena. I can't believe...
You type in Elena.
Partners is... Their name has the word partners. Right there. Halana and Elena.
Halana and Elena.
So it's 2/3 first strike creature 4. And if you put a bunch of X+1/+1 counters on it, it then puts other +1/+1 counters on other creatures and gives them haste. So, you can, with Remnant Rising Star, you'll be at 3 when you play it, 4, 5 when it comes to play, plus you'll have that theme, so you'll have 6 mana total. You can play Hana and Elena, give it 2 +1/+1 counters, so this will come out as a 4/5 flying first strike creature. It immediately give 4 +1/+1 counters to Remnant of Rising Star, and you now have a 6/6 flying haste. That's
there's a deck with this, for sure.
And right there, you now have 2 Thieves. Both of them need to die immediately, or they will kill you.
And they will die immediately in standard.
But there's 2 of them.
Yeah, no,
that's,
I get you.
That's the big thing. There's 2 of them.
No, yeah, that's cool.
So,
Sorry.
Halana and Elena are so good, there was even experimentation of a mono white deck splashing 2 colors just for this card.
Oh my gosh.
It actually worked decently.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. This card has a lot of synergies with just like tokens, big creatures, and it doesn't need all the other stuff to be good. You can like, it can be by itself and be good, and it synergize like you just said with a bunch of other stuff, and you can even choose itself. Oh no, it says whenever another. Oh, that's way better. I thought this was just when Remnant comes into play. You do it that one time when it comes into play, but this is every time. Yeah, this card's crazy. Definitely want it in limited, but like I was trying to say, it's cool because it synergizes well with a lot of stuff, but it's also good on its own.
Exactly. That's it. It's a bomb already. Like, Halana and Elena, sure, when they get +1/+1 cards, it's the same. Well, if you get a 3-mana 3/3 and there's 3 +1/+1 cards on it, every card becomes an XX creature, which X is your mana value, basically.
Yeah. So green made up for it, having the 3 really bad sagas and then this one.
Yep. Alright. Tales of Master Sashiro. It's a 5-mana common saga. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle. It gains Vigilance until end of turn, so it can be aggressive while staying defensive. It happens again next turn. And then it becomes a 5/5 with Vigilance and Haste. So this is another one that can't attack till turn 7. But that's a beefy 7 attack minion. That's a beefy minion.
It's a big boar. Yeah, I think it's a good card. And it's common. Makes sense.
Yep.
I feel like this is one of those things that you play in limited. It's like your kind of your top end. You probably want to draft 2 of them. If you have kind of an aggressive deck, you can draft a bunch of these and just have this be your top end, you know?
Yep. I don't even think you need to be aggressive to have this be your top end. I think you just could be like mid-range, and this is a good top end.
Yeah. Yeah, good card. I like it. I love cards like this. Like just the common. They
Big
do some.
booty.
They feel like they feel like a big stick that you just. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I
don't have to
good
speak.
weapon. Or
You
good,
can speak softly because you carry a big stick.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that one.
Yeah, I like it for limited. Not for constructed, but great for limited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, constructed. It's not going to do anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Teachings of the Kyrie. 2 mana. Mill 3 cards. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit. Then you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then it flips over, and whenever it attacks, you choose to either exile a creature card and get another 1/1 colorless spirit,
God, there's so much text.
or you exile a non-creature and get another +1/+1 counter.
Let me
Yeah.
digest.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
damn. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Get a long color spirituals token. Put +1 counter. Okay.
So I will.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I will say for the backside, this is attacking as early as turn 5. It's a 1/1 without evasion.
This is weird and relies on.
It's a 1/1 without evasion.
And it's like exiling your own graveyard. I don't know. This card doesn't seem that great.
Yeah, no, the backside I think just doesn't make it. It's a 1/1 without evasion.
Like, I don't even know what this is made for.
Okay, so exiling, so it's target creature card from a graveyard. So if you can attack multiple times, this is good. But I don't see how you I'm not sure you make it to the first attack. It's a 1/1.
This kind of looks like it's trying to be like those busted cards that you see in Modern or Legacy, where it's like, what? Like there's a bunch of those black-green cards that just exile something from the grave and do something crazy. But this one takes too long. It starts off. You still don't get it till 4. Yeah.
It doesn't attack till 5.
It's like a fixed version of those broken cards,
like,
which means it's broke. It's not good.
Let's take these powerful cards and nerf it to the ground.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's not good.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a rare?
It's a rare. It's a rare.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
This is a trap.
It makes sense as a rare, but it's just a bad rare.
Yeah. I feel like it's just 1/1 spirits. Yeah. Ugh. Anyways.
I'm trying to just think of it as like a tech card, like not your bomb rare, obviously, but still, even then, it doesn't seem that good to me.
As a tech card, there has to be a deck that has no creatures so this thing could actually attack.
And it's also so similar to so many good cards in Legacy, it makes me think I'm saying the wrong thing, you know what I mean?
No.
It's like so similar to all those other cards that I'm like, wait, is this just good and I'm just not seeing it? But
yeah,
I don't think it's good.
Yeah, no, I think...
Sorry.
Those good cards in Limited are good because you're swinging in on turn 2.
Yeah. I'm just going to start another cup of coffee. Ooh,
all right.
Oh, there's
2 left.
I'm surprised I didn't do a cycle of multicolored
I will
Sagas.
state that they actually do. They stated that the way that lessons were in every pack of Strixhaven.
Yeah.
There should be a saga in every pack of Kamigawa. So these cards will be in your pack every single time when you go to draft.
Oh, interesting. That's good to know because I was trying to think, like, is limited format going to be full of a bunch of these, like, really slow cards? And 1 per pack, I wouldn't say is full of.
It's full enough that you can make a deck if you want. If these, like, synergize with each other,
if they
you can
get
make a
passed.
deck.
Mm-hmm.
But it's... Yeah, as you said, they're not... It's not completely full of them, but they're everywhere. If you need them, they're there.
Yeah.
Alright. So, last 2 cards. Hidden Zooku consumes all. 3 mana, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. Exile all graveyards next. And then it flips over to a 3/3 trample. When it deals damage, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. No, it doesn't have to deal damage to the player, it just needs to deal damage. It doesn't even need to do combat damage. And then if it somehow manages to deal 10 damage to a single player, they lose the game.
Dun dun dun.
It has to do it in 1 turn. So the first thing I'd like to state is this destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 1 less, exile all graveyards, that does specifically hit a deck in Standard. In a really tough way, it hits a deck. The problem is, the deck it hits is the black-red deck in Standard.
Oh. Of course.
So if we could get around that, this backside I think is pretty strong. Just as a
I don't really see how much is it? It's a 3 mana? 3
mana.
Trample. It's okay. I don't really see this card being that... Like, if you're dealing... In Standard or something, if you're dealing 10 damage to somebody, they're already gonna lose the game.
The thing is, yeah, if the first ability, if destroying each non-land permanent helps knock down, like, it can slow down some of the Swarm aggressive decks really well. And then this body, because it keeps growing bigger, it's something that needs to be solved. It's an theme that needs to be answered and is not easily answered.
Because you killed all the small things?
Also because, like, it's in a sweet spot. It's just big enough. It's keeps getting bigger if it's not dealt with. There's a lot of people are.
Well, you have to get through with it.
Like, it doesn't have to get. Well, it has to deal damage. You're correct, but it doesn't have to deal. Doesn't have to deal it to the player.
Yeah.
People are really hopeful for a lot of the reconfigure equipment, so a lot of people are hopeful for this. I will state, it is a bit of a stretch. It is the deck that wants to play is also the deck that gets punished by it, and this is a symmetrical effect. So, I'm going to say at the end my answer is no, but I see why there's hype around it. It definitely has the potential to be a good card.
Yeah. I feel like anytime a card says and they lose the game, it's like hella, yeah, it's hella cool. But yeah, I don't think this card's very good. I don't know.
You need.
I don't know anything about Standard, but even in Limited, it's just like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, in Limited, you're right.
I mean, it's better than like just a typical 3-drop, but it's not like insane. There's other insane commons that you can pick.
Heck, if you're aggressive, I think it is worse than a typical 3-drop.
Yeah. Yeah. I might even choose that blue card, the blue common one over this, if you know what I mean. But,
yeah, no, honestly. But yeah, that 10 or more damage, you basically do you have a way of giving this card double strike? No? Oh, it's not happening.
Yeah. The Kame War.
The last one, Kame War. Wooburg +1. 6 mana. And you have to be all colors. Exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Then, you return up to one other non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and then each opponent discards a card. So that could be an extra tempo where you bounce a card to their hand, and they might have to discard it, or you could protect one of your cards and force them to discard still. Then it flips into a 6/6 flying trample all-color card. When it attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard, you get it back, and it gets +X/+0, where X is the mana value of that card. If you can play this card, it's insane.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. Do you think there's no chance for 5-color in Limited, right?
In Limited, no. Yeah. There actually are some pretty good lands, but they're not that good.
Yeah, I have no idea how this would be played in. You were saying something about there could be 5 mana in Standard?
So, yeah, I actually want to show this.
Yeah.
So this was a deck that existed before Innistrad came out. It ramped to Goldspan Dragon, which then ramped to Alrund's Epiphany. But the start is the same, and it was actually a strong start. So Jaspara Sentinel. Did I spell it wrong?
G-E? Or J-E-S, maybe? Jaspara?
No. I'm just going to type in Sentinel and get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because that's how this works. Ooh, I know. I can actually go back to the simple search and set the format to standard, because this is a standard card. And then I type in Sentinel.
Checkmate search engine.
Green. Haha.
Yeah.
Jaspera Sentinel. Jaspera Sentinel.
Tap 2 and 1 mana of any color.
So this is a one mana creature. So this is your turn
It's
1.
a Springleaf Drum.
So 1 mana creature. It doesn't die to Spikefield Hazard or other 1 damage cards. And with another creature, it adds mana of a color. So this is your turn 1. Turn 2, you play a red and Magda, Brazen Outlaw. And whenever this card gets tapped, you create a treasure token. The other card taps it to
treasure tokens.
make mana. So what can happen is you play Jaspera turn 1. Turn 2, you play this. You're holding up a Snakeskin Veil or some other protective 1 mana spell. Oh, and then at the end of turn, you tap this, get yourself a treasure token. Turn 3, doesn't matter, you can play red or whatever. Tap the Jaspera for blue. You now have 2 treasure tokens for white and black, and you have enough mana to play our good old Kami War on turn 3.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so treasure tokens definitely make the all-color viable.
Yeah.
That's cool. I hope there's an all-color deck.
It might not be an all-color deck. It might be... It's called Wet Gruel. It's green and red, and then it splashes blue for a few good counter spells and stuff like that. And then just incidentally, because of treasure tokens, because of Jaspera Sentinel, it can play the Kami War as its finisher.
Cool. I like this card a lot.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's going to see play.
Yeah.
I'm a... Timmy?
Timmy,
I'm a Timmy. This is the coolest stuff.
This is so cool. No. As a Johnny, it's figuring out how to get this card into play that makes me excited.
Yeah, to
like,
cheat it out.
As I said, I like that I found a way to get it turn 3. You like the fact that it gets played.
Yeah, exactly. I like that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good card if it can see play, and Wet Gruel, it hasn't seen play since Innistrad came out. I'm not sure if the cards in Innistrad are going to prevent it from seeing what it needs to do, but if it sees play, it will, like, if this card resolves, you have 3 turns to kill it, or it kills you.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great way to show a Kami War. But yeah, that's the last saga. I like what they did with these sagas. I like the creatures that become of these sagas.
Yeah. And I like, can I scroll up?
Yeah, you to control it.
Yeah, I like that they become, it adds like some weird, like, it's like, this is probably what they wanted it to be, right? Like spirits shifting into the material plane. It's like, they did that really well. Because it's like, as they're becoming things in the world, they have to like change. It's just so cool. I love the flavor. That's why I love Kamigawa, man. I love the flavor, and it never disappoints.
I just realized you actually touched on a lore point that you didn't even know about. That the whole thing is that Agonjo is working to try to make a bridge for the spirits to commune because they're having trouble interacting with the world and are coming out as like wild beasts and stuff, so they need to help them merge.
Nice.
Dude,
did I interpret it without knowing, or did Magic just portray it that well? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They're so good at this point. Yeah, really cool, really interesting. Because it's like it's like Suspend, but not. It's just cool.
Oh, yeah, it's Suspend. But Suspend had, like, massive creatures with haste. Like, it was a 2-mana Suspend 4, and it's like, it's all in one effect, so we can make it super massive.
I just want to see all the other stuff. Yeah. And they all become enchantment creatures.
Yep.
Okay.
My favorite is still the Living Breakthrough card. Just all, like as I said, I'm a Johnny.
Crazy.
All the thoughts and considerations of, can this deck work? Can I lock down my opponent and be that guy?
No. Just look at this. Look at the pretty pictures. Stop combos. Pretty picture.
Big, chunky, pretty pictures. 6/6.